Peace and love, everyone. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I want to say peace to everyone out there on this beautiful Wednesday evening in October. What is it? The 30th. And just it's been an interesting week, everyone. I hope everyone is surrounded by peace and joy, love and abundance at this time. And tonight's show is a very, very important topic that I think needs to be had in light of all the things that's going on in the world around us right now. And it's really a lot. It's a whole lot of going on all over, politically, physically, mentally. It's just like all out. I don't even know the words to describe it. It's just it's an amazing time. I can say that, to be alive. And what's also amazing is we're in the fall season. This time of year, there's a lot of energetic shifts taking place. In particular, we just had a series of eclipses, lunar and solar, and all the things that comes with those changes, cosmically. And we also had a major event on our shores here in the United States, with the hurricane seasons, and the hurricanes are getting more and more intense and more devastating. And in particular, the ones that we just had that struck the North Carolina and Tennessee area. So, make sure, family, that you keep each other surrounded in prayer. Do what you can to help out and to support where the support is needed. There's always something that can be done to make things better, to make things easier for the next person. And so that's what the kind of people that we want to be as light bearers, um, um, light workers, and those of us who see ourselves as bringers of the dawn. There's always work that needs to be done. Always, there's always somebody in need of help, in need of healing, in need of support. And, um, that's what we're all here for, is to help one another and support one another. So I wanted to say that, and a shout out to just each and every one of us to just be mindful, even in what feels like our darkest hours. There's always someone else that is going through something similar or worse. And it's up to us to do what we can to be supportive and to make the burden a little bit lighter and easier for other people. So, with that said, let's get into tonight's topic, which is about are you being drugged? I'm just gonna go out there and say, are you being drugged? And what does being drugged mean? And this topic came to me because we're constantly being bombarded with all this information right now about very powerful people, very influential people, if you will, in different walks of life that are using their power and their influence to abuse other people. And I'm not going to say take advantage, because I think it's deeper than taking advantage of people. I think they're abusing people, and they are using harmful substances to aid them in the process of abusing. So, once you drug a person, or if a person's under the influence of substances, they cannot defend themselves, nor can they make safe decisions or use proper judgment, which is why these people are using the substances to abuse others. And there's different types of drugs that people can use. And so before I go any further, let's define what drugged means. So drugged, I looked it up online. So drugged, definition and the adjective form means unconscious or in a stupor as a result of taking or being given a drug. So that's what drugged means. In the verb sense of the word to drug, it means to administer a drug to someone in order to induce stupor or instability. So when a person has been drugged, not only are they not alert and aware, they're also unconscious or in a stupor as a result of taking a drug. Um, a sense of instability has been induced over them when they've been drugged. So being drugged means under the influence, poisoned. Drug could mean false things have been um, fed to you to keep you in a sleep spell or a low vibrating state, keeping you paralyzed, stuck, confused, dazed, and out of your mind. Being drugged makes you forget. And so, what is it that you're forgetting? Um, you know, so we're going to be examining that this evening, how people are being drugged in many different ways. It's not just the harmful um, street drugs that we're thinking about, because a lot of times um, I would argue that many of us are being drugged and being fed false ideas and ideologies, which is also keeping us in a stuck, paralyzed, or forgetful state. So that's what we're going to be diving into this evening, discussing. And so this has been going on probably for many decades, because even my grandmother told me when I was a little girl, she told me, when you go out, with friends or whoever in the evenings, when you get older, she said, make sure you don't drink anything that someone gives you. She said, if you go out to a party or any kind of event, if somebody gives you a drink, you don't drink it. She said, if you have a drink, um water, even water, whatever it is, she said, and you leave and go to the bathroom, you take your drink with you. And if you don't drink it when you come back. She said, because people will put things in your drink that can make you pass out, and they can do terrible things to you. She even told me a story at one time about going to some kind of event, and a man offered her a drink, and she said, no thank you, I don't drink. And he insisted, and she said no. So then he took the drink and threw it, and she stepped back, but some of it got on her dress. And he said, well, you might not want to drink it, but now you're going to smell like, just something random. I guess he did that out of anger, but whatever. So this has been going on for a long time, and it's not a new phenomenon. There's been many different forms of drugs and things that people will give you to make you incoherent, or less combative, which is part of the reason why they do this, or also make you forgetful and not remember anything that happens, so that they can um, violate you or do other things to you. So many things, but the main reason why they drug people is to abuse them, because when a person is under the influence, they're easy, just said that, under the influence. And when they're under the influence, they're easy to influence. Someone's under the influence of substances, you can deceive them, you can have your way with them or mistreat them, because they're less combative, they're less and they're not in their right frame of mind, so they may not be making the right decisions or right judgment. And oftentimes there's certain drugs that people will give someone that will make them totally unconscious. They're not alert at all, they don't know what's happening. And there's a lot of sick, disturbing people out here who do things like that, because that's their actual goal, is to make you unconscious. Because when you're unconscious, you are unable to resist them, you're unable to stop their advances or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And some people, that is their ultimate goal, is to have you totally submissive and um, incoherent so that they can do whatever it is that they are planning to do. And so this is a very big problem. It's been going on for a long time. It's not something that is isolated by gender, because we hear stories of men being victimized by this, because I know I've heard of that, as well as women and children. So it's not just something that is isolated just to a specific gender, because all people can actually be um, victims of this abuse, this form of abuse, by using substances to take liberties over people. So being poisoned is what it really is, and that's what we should really call it, because when you're drugging someone, you're putting harmful substances into their system that they, under normal circumstances, would not want for themselves. No one wants to ingest something that's going to make them pass out, or make them forget, or make them dazed or helpless. But when the people are giving them these things, this is what's happening. They're actually being poisoned. And so we're going to be talking about that. And predatory people will use different methods to control and abuse others. And this is just one of the tactics that they use. So substances are used to drug people, to keep you confused, to keep you paralyzed, keep you unconscious, weak, helpless, afraid, and unable to resist or move forward. And then a lot of times, if it impairs your memory, then they don't have to worry about you pressing charges or retaliating, because your memory may just be totally wiped out under the influence of these poisonous substances. But you know what? People are being drugged in many ways, not just with substances. Okay. And what I mean by that is, when you're being fed false things that keep you stuck in a certain frame of mind, or confused or dazed, that can be a form of drugging too. And drugging can take many different forms. Some of us have been drugged and duped off of falsehoods and lies and deceitful behaviors and deceitful actions by other people, and control and manipulation and abuse. All of these are things that can keep people under the influence of a falsehood. Okay. People are being drugged in that way as well. Many of us can't relate to certain people, and we see that there are some that stay stuck in certain situations that don't benefit them, or they keep doing things that really don't make sense, or that's not advantageous for them, or beneficial to them, and you wonder why, and you don't understand, or you can't relate to why some people stay in like a helpless state, or just stay on autopilot, or just seem just imbalanced and unstable all the time. They're just stuck in a certain place or certain way. Have you ever met someone that just can't seem to get right? As they say, they just can't cope. They just have a really hard time getting themselves together, and they're not under the influence of harmful substances, but they're stuck. It's like there's something that's drugging them or keeping them in a certain frame of mind, or in a certain lifestyle. They lack the motivation and the willpower and the freedom sometimes to move in a different space, or to move differently. They're just like stuck on something. That also can be a form of being drugged. And sometimes when people um, are stuck like that, it's something that they are believing. It's something that they are thinking. Because I had a conversation with a sister not too long ago who told me that she realized she's having some struggles with her personal life, her family life. And she was having some health struggles, and she started gaining a lot of weight. And she told me she realized that the eating habits that she had and had developed over time was part of a trauma response, some trauma that she experienced when she was younger, and a lot of unhealed trauma, a lot of childhood trauma that she had not been able to, I guess, heal from. So her way of coping and dealing with it is, overeating, other self destructive behaviors, um, unhealthy, destructive relationships, etc. And these were things that she had done for many years. And now, when she got to a certain point and certain level in her life, she's realizing and looking back and reflecting that a lot of the things that she was doing and was all self harm because how she's feeling about herself. So, in a sense, when we start to look at how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about others and the world around us, and what makes us do the things that we do, we need to ask ourselves, are we under the influence of somebody else's thoughts? The a lot of the world, or what I call Babylon's thoughts and thinking and ideologies, is toxic, and it's a contaminant to our mind. Those of us who are on a spiritual path with our lives, those of us who are striving to be these light workers and the bringers of this new age and this new dawn, and those of us who say that we are committed to holding the light and holding sacred spaces, the way that a lot of people have taught us, or conditioned us to think and to believe and to feel, is a contaminant. And not only is it a contaminant for our mind, it acts almost like a drug or a harmful substance. And many of us who are healers, or people who are consider ourselves enlightened light workers, or whatever you want to call yourself, um, that in your healing journey you had to exercise, and exercise as in EXORCIZE. You had to exercise some thought forms and some negative belief systems that you had. Some of us were raised to believe certain things that were harmful, that were unhealthy, that were toxic. And this is what a lot of us learned, and as we became adults, or became enlightened and began our healing journey, we realized that we had to unlearn a lot of the things that we learned. Many of us were taught, and we heard destructive things like, you'll never amount to anything, you don't do anything right, you're unattractive, some other ugly things, you'll never make it in life, things like that, or you're nothing. And a lot of us heard these toxic, ugly statements that someone else directed towards us, and it may have influenced how we feel about ourselves. And I say, and to me, that is also just as harmful as somebody poisoning your drink. Your mind was poisoned, and with negative, um, abusive language and thoughts imposed on you by someone else. So it's like someone infected you or poisoned you with toxic thoughts, words, deeds. Just like somebody, putting something in your drink and you ingesting it, or putting something in your food, ingesting it. A lot of us ingest it and absorb these negative thought patterns, these negative ideologies about ourselves, or about our ethnic groups. You know, many people feel very negative things about the group that they subscribe to. And, you know, all of this is a contaminant. And I would say it's a drug, an isolated substance, because it doesn't benefit you. A lot of it is not true, and it's probably all not true, and it's only true if you subscribe to it. So let's say you were someone who was abused, neglected, mistreated, you know, growing up. Let's say you didn't have positive role models and adults in your life. Maybe, you know, you were raised by narcissists or people who were abusive, or who had their own demons that they were struggling with. They had, you know, they may have had substance abuse issues or whatever the case may be, and they were not and they failed you. Let's say, you know, let's keep it real. You know, let's say you were around a lot of adults who failed you, or just could not give you the proper love and the care that you need, and the guidance that and the nurturance that you needed as a child. And so you grew up having issues, feeling you know, loss or whatever, abandoned, you know, whatever type of issues you had. So you had to, as in order to heal, you had to unlearn those unhealthy behavior patterns that you adopted for yourself, you know, as your defense mechanism, or as a survival um trait, you know, whatever it is that you had to do to survive or to keep your mind intact. You know, you have to heal from that and recognize that it may not have been the best choice, but that was all that was available to you at that point in your life. That's all that you knew. That's what you were comfortable with. And many of us have adopted unhealthy belief systems and patterns and personalities that are just that, we something that we adopted to help us cope with the hand that was dealt to us, if you will. And that also can function as like a drug, because you're under the influence of thinking that you're this person that you have become out of trauma and out of your hurt. But this is also not you. This is a false you. So this is also kind of like, you'll see why I'm saying it. It's a drug, because this is something that you're under the influence of. You're under the influence of the negative things, the negative thought forms, the negative language that other people imposed upon you, you know. And people may say all kinds of horrible things to you. Let's, for example, you won't amount to anything, you know, that will only be a reality to you if you believe it, and if you want to act out that nothingness. If somebody says you're nothing, if you act out that nothing, then that's what you are. But if, when people say things like that to you, they're actually it's worse than a drug. I mean, it's almost like a curse, or they're just, yeah, like a curse they're putting on you. You know, be really mindful of the power of the spoken word. And so when they offer, so just like when someone offers, a stranger offers you a drink, and they've put something in it to drug you, and you're like, no, I don't, no thanks, I don't want that. When people offer you or say harmful or abusive language towards you, you also have to be in the frame of mind where you also reject that and rebuke it, because that is not the reality of who you are. Regardless of who it is that's saying that to you, that is not you. And do not allow them to project false belief systems onto you, or you will in turn become under the influence. All right, welcome. We have somebody in the chat this evening. Dia, welcome, sweetheart. Good to see you again. And she wrote, some people are drugged by social media. Yes, we're going to get into that as well. Social media can also become a drug, and the media in general, because it can be a powerful influencer of different thoughts, different ideas and ideologies and behaviors. I know you all have heard the stories about certain challenges being put on social media, and some people will imitate these challenges and end up getting hurt, sometimes fatal wounding, because they tried something that they saw on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever they saw it, and they tried it, and they may not have done it the way they saw it online, and next thing you know, they end up in the hospital or the morgue. But this is what happens. Sometimes people try everything that they see, and so that is another example of being drugged by social media. Some people actually are addicted to it, because in their mind, the world of social media is more important to them than their actual life, or and they get hooked on it. And this is the first thing they do when they rise up in the morning. They're checking their phone, all throughout the day, and they're checking it at night before they go to bed. They sleep with the phone because they're constantly checking social media. They're checking how many likes they get. When they don't get them, they get upset. They're altering and their lives, and live some of them are living a false reality because they want to be relevant on social media. They want the attention that it gives them. Especially narcissism, people who are narcissistic, they really crave attention and validation, and they need to feel worthy, or they need external attention to make them feel good about themselves. And many people, and even those who have low self-esteem, they also feel that way um, as well. It's just a constant um, craving for attention and validation, or just watching what's going on with some other people. And many people become addicted to that, and like you said, Dia, yes, it does become a drug because it's influencing your mind, is influencing your thoughts, the life that you're living. And some people are so involved in invested in what personalities are doing on social media, that they're so hooked on that they neglect their own selves, their own goals, their own dreams and aspirations, because they're so focused on what their favorite celebrity or social media influencer is doing, and how they can do what they're doing based on what they're watching, which may not even be real. It may not even be real. So many of us are under the influence of things other than just drugs. Some of us are under the influence of ideologies. We believe certain things. We already talked about that, especially the power of the word and people saying things about you or to you that's false. So many people believe in other false ideologies that keep them trapped into a limited way of thinking. And they may question or disagree with those ideologies, but sometimes they lack the motivation and um, the willpower to walk away, or to reject those ideologies. So they just go with the flow. That's another um, form of being drugged and influenced, just going along to get along because you are afraid, or you are just don't have the motivation and the willpower to resist, or speak up for yourself or others. And so you just deal with things that doesn't sound right or feel right. And so there's a lot of that. Some people are under the influence of food, or because of their low self-esteem, food becomes like a companion to them. And excuse me, many people feel that way about all substances. The substance is the addiction is really coming from within them. It's not the out, it's not external. The external things that they're addicted to is like the tool that they're using to act out the problem that is within them, and that's the addictive, personality traits. The sickness that's within is manifesting in the addiction to gambling or food or sex or drugs or alcohol or prescription pills or television or whatever. The substance and the thing that they're addicted to gives them an escape or a temporary thrill or a temporary sense of comfort. Because I've talked to many, many people who and who are addicted to food, and that is a very common addiction. Is more common than I think people realize, and it's kind of accepted because it's okay for people to drown their sorrows or their insecurities or their any hurt feelings with food. And you often hear people say that such and such is my comfort food, like, whatever it is, whether it's chocolate or sweets or, candy or rich, creamy foods or bready foods or something, a loaded baked potato or whatever it is that is your comfort food. And we got to look at what the language that we use in comfort food. What is it that you're in need of comfort for? Like, what is happening to you that, I know that was bad grammar, but what is happening to you inside of you, inside your mind, inside your heart, inside your soul, that is so hurt that you need to eat something that may not be good for you to make you feel comforted? And that's something that a lot of people don't want to unpack, or is too hurtful or painful to unpack. So it's easier to eat your sorrows away. Or I've even heard some people say that food became like their partner. Like, they say food became my boyfriend or whatever. Is like they just have this love affair with food. They're eating a meal and talking about what they're gonna eat later. They only want to travel to go places if they got good food, or what am I going to eat when I'm there? They just like obsessed with food, and that is a fear. Like, what is it that you're afraid of, that you are using the food to make you feel better or make you feel comforted? That's another form of a drug, and it can become a drug. And we've seen the extreme cases of that, where people have eaten themselves into a disability. Some that's the more extreme cases. The people that have eaten and just given up on life. They don't clean the house anymore. They've eaten so much and have gotten so overweight that it actually has impacted their health. They've stopped doing any physical activities, and then it becomes to a point where they can't do any. I know you all have seen cases like this or heard of them, or you may know someone who is struggling with that, and they will have a multitude of health problems and will continue to eat and continue to eat harmful things, and to the point where it's very devastating and debilitating to their health, because there's something inside that is feeling broken or needy, and it's much easier to focus outside themselves with the food. And no matter how much they eat, they still they feel like they still need more. And it becomes an addiction. So all of those are things that can cause us to be drugged or under the influence. Another thing is, when I say false ideas, many of us are in a state of denial when it comes to people feeding us ideas and ideologies that are false. You know, for example, once I had a job where I had a supervisor who was very much a narcissist, among many other things. And she was just very difficult to work with. She was constantly passive and aggressive, like the queen of passive aggressive behavior. You know, one day she this way, next day she another way, and she never seemed to remember anything she said. And she was very challenging to work with, very challenging to be around, consistently inconsistent. And then, you know, one day we were having a disagreement about something, and you know, she tried to intimidate me by telling me that you know, jobs were hard to come by, so I might as well just deal with the behavior from her. And I was like, I don't think so. If I got this one, I can get another one. And I don't, you know, subscribe to that philosophy that jobs are hard to come by. Because after all, if I can't find one, I can make one, I can do something else, work two or three if I have to get out of this madness. And that was an example of somebody trying to drug you with a false ideology. And many people believe this. Many people believe the things that other people tell them out of fear, out of needing to be, you know, wanted or loved or whatever. And all of that, it can get you into um, a very difficult state. And this is another example of being drugged. And so let's take a moment and let's kind of shift the conversation to talk a little bit more about the people that are doing the drugging, the predatory people. Beware. And we've had this conversation before. We've talked a lot in depth about narcissists in some previous shows. If you missed them, please go back and watch some of the older ones. We even had some health professionals on the show talking about the signs, the warning signs, and how to heal and protect yourself from those kind of people. But be aware of predators and predatory behaviors. Predatory people are everywhere. Some are more subtle with it than others. Some are very overt and very bold and obvious. But remember, some predators are very subtle and good at camouflage and gaslighting. But that's what makes them predators. Just like in the animal world, if you've ever watched nature programs or been out in the wild and observed animals hunting, the predator doesn't make a big announcement that they're coming. They don't let everybody know, oh, I'm dangerous, I'm trouble, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a bad person. They don't allow, you know, the victims to know who they are, because if you knew who they were, you would flee from them and you would never become a victim. So remember, nobody wears, well, most people don't wear predator written across their forehead, or, you know, gaslighter, or narcissist, or sadistic, or whatever. They don't wear these titles outwardly, but you got to be very mindful and vigilant of watching them so that you don't become the prey. Okay, so remember, subtleties, camouflaging, that is what they do. Camouflage, just like animals and insects camouflage when they're hiding, they blend in with their surroundings so that you don't see them, so they can get closer to you. Predators do the same thing. They pretend to like the things that you like. They pretend to be interested in you. They act nice. Act nice when they're around certain people so that they can get close to you and next thing, or seduce you or pull you in, and next thing you know, you drinking the Kool-Aid and passing out, and you know, God only knows what's going to happen next. So remember, the predators appeal to your weaknesses, your shortcomings, your human frailties, and use them against you for your downfall. Just like your vices, be aware of what your vices are, your weaknesses. Do more of your shadow work, as they call it, that work, going within and working on yourself, working on your inner child, working on your shortcomings, your past traumas that need healing. And anybody that says, well, I don't have any of those, I concur, because all of us have something that we have to work on, because that's just the state of the world we're in. We all have some kind of vices or weaknesses, or behaviors that that we need to work on, or certain feelings or things that no longer serve us. So you may not have like an outward extreme vice or frailty or weakness, but you may have some other internal things, like I said, the shadow work, or things that you need to do to purify yourself and to work on, so you won't be a victim. These people can victimize you. There's many ways to victimize you, especially if you're someone that doesn't, you're a child, you don't have any say so in your life, and you're vulnerable to the adults around you. But many of us who are adults, and we are being abused or mistreated or taken advantage of by others, a lot of us, will say, I should have seen that coming, or I should have never trusted that person, or I should have listened to my friends or my family, or I should have listened to my gut. Yeah, you should have listened. Listen, please be aware of these people that mean you harm. Pay attention. Pay attention to them. Watch what they do, not what they say. Watch how they treat other people. um you know we're here, I believe, to heal from those issues, and once we heal ourselves and begin our healing journeys, we're able to help others in their healing journey. And many of us have mommy and daddy issues. I mean, it is what it is. That's the world we live in. Abandonment issues, low self-esteem issues, unhealed trauma. Some of us have substance use issues and other issues, and some of our issues even have issues, because a lot of the shadow work and the inner healing and the childhood trauma, a lot of us ignore, and or just not aware that how to heal. Some of us just don't know how to heal, and or even that healing needs to take place, because a lot of us, because of our deep levels of soul loss and the hurt and the damage and trauma, many of us are functioning on autopilot, and so we're just going through life, just going through the motions, and we don't realize that we're in need of help. And oftentimes hurt people hurt other people. But before we get to that point, let's recognize that that you're in need of healing. And once you recognize that you're in need of healing, other people, the predatory people, are not so you're not susceptible to their schemes and their games and their plans, because you are standing in your power, and you're in a different you're not in a vulnerable or needy position. And a lot of these predatory people prey on the vulnerable populations, whether it's the poor, the differently abled, or the young, the naive, all of that. They prey on you. And so the person that comes from a broken home, or they don't have their parent in their life, or they don't have their father in their life, they got abandonment issues, low self-esteem, whatever it is, they will prey on your what is perceived as weaknesses or your issues. Okay. And many of our issues are the results of things that have been done to us, the wrong guidance that we've had, perhaps growing up, or no guidance at all sometimes, and so-called family curses. All of those things are not your fault that happened to you, and it's not. And don't let anyone else make you think that it's your fault if you've been abused or neglected or mistreated. But once you are in a space where you're responsible for yourself and your decisions as an adult, so choose wisely and remember that your choices will always have some kind of outcome, good or bad. You know, your choices define your destiny. And once you start making choices and decisions for yourself, you are in control of your destiny and no one else. You know, your vices and your issues cannot be used against you to trap you every time. So make sure you work on them and work on those self-defeating purposes. I mean behaviors. I'm sorry, those self-defeating behaviors. Whenever you're under the influence of something, you know, whatever is, you know, the drug in your life, it has control over you. And you want to be able to make your stand on your square, stand from a place of strength and make your own decisions um from a higher vantage point, and not making decisions out of fear or loneliness or feeling lost or feeling like someone else is doing you a favor, because when you feel like that, they will treat you accordingly. And we don't you that's not what we want. That's not what we as light bearers are doing. So if your vices are things like gambling and the money, you know, somebody will take advantage of that or offer you what appears to be a great opportunity, and next thing you know, they are taking liberties over you. And any addiction that you have, if you know, if you've ever observed someone who's struggling with addiction, or if you've ever been a person that has struggled with it yourself, you will know that the addiction, that monkey on your back, that demon is never satisfied. No matter how much you gamble, how much you drink, how much you get high, how much you eat, how much you steal, or whatever your, you know, that the addiction is, it's never enough. It's never satisfied, and you got to keep doing it. So that will let you know something definitely needs to change. Um, you know, if you're feeling alone or lost or broke or rejected or unloved, all of those things, those influences, those can be drugs in your mind that someone else can use against you to abuse and mistreat you. And, you know, a lot of people are doing things out of a fear of poverty. You know, they've been told if they want certain things, in particular monetary things, they have to go along and do some things that they know is wrong, dangerous, not advantageous to them, and just plain destructive to them. But because of fear of lack, they will do things. And you know, it's like they're under the influence of this drug called money. They'll do, you know, they'll do anything, even sell their own soul, sell their child, just do all kinds of degrading um things or dangerous things just to get what they call get the bag or whatever. So, you know, that's something else that is also influencing and drugging a lot of people's minds, because you got some people that are so controlled by money that that's all they think about, and that's their motivator for a lot of the things that they do. And you know, some people will stop at nothing to get more, and to make sure that they always have more than someone else. So if you feel like you need someone um, who is better than you, feel like they're better than you, or they have more, or they're doing you a favor, um, of something that you can't do for yourself, then you're actually idolizing that person. And we know that that is not the best way to be thinking. That we should not idolize any other person at all for no circumstance. And people who demand that out of you or feel like you should put them on a pedestal, that's somebody you really need to get out of your life and move on. You know, be careful of people who want to make you dependent on them. Be careful of people who tell you you can't do anything or progress without them, or you were nothing. I knew someone, her ex used to tell her, you're nothing without me. I made you. I did. No one made you. No one can take responsibility or credit for your success. They may give you a helping hand. They may assist you in your growth, but no one can take credit for that, because that is coming from within you. That is your light that you're sharing. That's that spark within you that is doing that. And they can help, but if they have all the say so and you're totally dependent on them, and you can't shine your light without them, then that's problematic. That's a problem. Someone who truly loves you will speak life into you and speak life over you, and they will never tell you that you're nothing without them, or tell you that you can't achieve things or your goals or your dreams without them. In fact, they will be the person that will push you and motivate you and inspire you to do those things to better yourself, because they will want what's best for you. They don't want you to be they don't want you to be dependent on them or feel that you can't do it. So the people who are telling you that you need them in order to achieve things in life, or to better your career, or to just be the person that the best version of yourself, that's somebody that is a predator. Okay. And if you're not sure if that person is a predator or is out to drug you, then just watch their behavior, study their behaviors, study and watch how they treat other people, and get to know them, and then you'll see, are they honest, reliable, or trustworthy. Watch the people that they hang with. Are the people that they deal with, are they enablers? Are they also abusers? Because wicked people hang together. And remember, um the predatory people, they will appear radiant, shiny, have all the answers, like to surround themselves with other people who are weak minded, that like to put them on pedestals or validate them. Don't be deceived by flashy things, material possessions, money, false offers, or incredible offers, that they can't deliver. Or if they deliver, it comes with a deadly or a very serious price. All of that should be red flags. Remember that. And also another thing, that don't be so excited to follow people or follow the group think, as they say, or ideologies or campaigns and agendas that sound good and sound too good to be true. Always learn to use your discernment. And when it comes to being drugged off of false ideas and ideologies, many people are out here selling pipe dreams, as they say, promising things, and promising agendas and magnificent campaigns and things of whatnot. And they are making promises and making speeches and saying the things that they're going to do, but they never tell you how they're going to do it, what's their plan. There's no demonstration of the things that they say. Look at them, discern, what is their proven track record? Have they done the things that they're promising? What are their policies? How are they doing this? And it's very important to be mindful of that in 2024, because we know this is an election year. We got statewide elections coming up, as well as the presidential elections. And so there's a whole lot of campaigning going on, and there's decisions to be made. And we want to make the right decisions. Make sure that you use your discernment when choosing anything. Don't let other people um, influence you to do things that may not be in your best interest or the best interest of others. So always, always think about it. Use your discernment. What does your gut tell you? You know, those of us who are working on our spiritual growth and development, we're not vibrating from a place of fear. We're vibrating from higher levels. And we know that um, we can trust our ability to discern and just observe and watch the actions of others and focus more on our spiritual growth and development. And we know that our authentic self is our guides, and we don't have to look outside of ourselves as much for other people to help and to rescue us, because we know that it's going to come from within. So listen to your mind and your heart, not that wounded heart, but your spiritual heart, your higher self. Listen to that and always be mindful and use your discernment. So stay vigilant, family. Guide your mind from negative thoughts. Um, Guide your mind from and protect your mind from thoughts of low self-esteem, lack, poverty, being defeated, not being good enough. Work on yourself, work on your healing. Um, Start your healing journey. I like to hear from you all when you all send me emails. Let me know how you're doing. If you need any assistance along that journey, reach out to me on at my email, astrohealingarts@yahoo.com or gmail.com. And remember, family, go easy on yourself. You are clearing thousands of years of outdated conditioning. And so, with that said, wish you all a good night. Peace and love to each and every one of you, and peace, abundance, and good health to each and every one of you.